Fine. Tommy Rooney, good morning to you.
Morning, Ger. Morning, Shane.
I know you were glued to the cricket there, Tommy.
Absolutely. Happy to be delayed by the cricket.
There you go. The All-Stars are they're Friday in the Convention Centre, are they?
They are, yeah.
Have you got your
celebrations
tux?
ahead? I haven't.
What?
I didn't get an invite.
What?
Yeah,
Host
but
of
look
the
at-
preeminent Gaelic football podcast, and you can't even scrounge up an owl invite to the All-Stars. What is going on? Whoever's organising that's bad form.
I don't know, Ger. I don't know. Maybe, do you know what? Maybe you're better off not being at them, because we had to pick our football pod team of the year, and, you wouldn't want to upset people either,
The football pod team of the year, will it be the All-Star team? Is there significant differences, or can it even be? Have you grandfathered in some players who didn't make it to the All-Star shortlist?
I haven't, and this is a collective team, and personally I feel it's quite safe. Like, I would like to debate this out with you guys and have some put some changes here if you feel like it. We have 45 nominees for the Football All-Stars this weekend. We have 3 goalkeepers nominated. Do you want me to go through them quickly?
Yeah, sure, go for it. Yeah. 3
goalkeepers nominated. 3 very different goalkeepers. 3 keepers nominated for different reasons. Ethan Rafferty of Armagh, Shane Ryan and Kerry, Evan Comerford of Dublin. We have 18 defenders nominated. Kerry have Foley, Morley, Obioglia, Graham O'Sullivan and Tom O'Sullivan and Gavin White nominated. Galway have Liam Silke, Sean Kelly, John Daly nominated, only 3. Christy McCaig, Conor McCluskey and Brendan Rodgers are nominated from Derry. The Dubs have James McCarthy and Lee Gannon. Lee Keegan is nominated from Mayo, Jardy O'Burns from Armagh, Sean Powder from Cork and Cian Sheehan from Limerick. In midfield, there's 6 players nominated: Paul Conroy of Galway and Killian McDade, Conor Glass of Derry and Garrett McInnes of Derry, Brian Fenton from Dublin and Jack Barry from Kerry. And up top, the forwards, 18 with 9 different counties getting a shout. David Clifford, Paddy Clifford, Sean O'Shea, Stephen O'Brien from Kerry, Shane Walsh, Damien Comer, Rob Finnerty from Galway, Rian O'Neill, Stephen Campbell and Rory Grugan from Armagh, Kieran Kilkenny and Con O'Callaghan from Dublin, Shane McGuigan, Ethan Doherty from Derry. Kildare have Ben McCormick nominated, Owen Cleary is nominated from Clare, Stephen Sherlock is nominated from Cork, and Jack McCarran is nominated from Monaghan. Now, the All-Star team is going to be picked from those 45, and we can take from there.
Okay, so who's in goals?
I don't know if there's much of a debate around this. There has been a bit of a debate, but Shane Ryan is in goals for me. Kerry goalkeeper, led his team to the All-Ireland, conceded 1 goal. I think 1 goal from play all year. Like Owen Sheehan was banging on about it all year. A screamer, an exceptional goal, but he did his job really, really well throughout. The naysayers or the Ethan Rafferty selectors will say that Ethan Rafferty rocked the championship. He entertained us throughout. He certainly did. He scored 2 points. He laid on that ball for Jamar Hall in extra time against Galway that probably should have seen Armagh over the line before Killian McDade rescued it and brought it to penalties. He had 80 touches in open play compared to Shane Ryan's involvement in open play. Armagh used him as a running goalkeeper, so he's a modern day version of what we think the goalkeeper might become. But I find it hard to look beyond Shane Ryan, lads. If Dublin had beaten Kerry, you probably would give it to Evan Comerford for his ability to kill the game. I'm only joking. But, that was Comerford's biggest contribution, I would say, and it was like a big moment. So
Look, not the type of thing that you used to get All-Stars for, but I can see in the modern game, like...
Talk about skullduggery.
Is Rafferty not just... Like, Rafferty's a penalty save away in that Galway game from a definite All-Star, is he not? Because you get to the semi-final and then it's shoo-in.
Shane, I'd be very surprised if every single argument of yours today isn't an Ulster argument, but I don't know. Rafferty, is he a shoe-in? He had such a rocky start to the championship, and Ethan Rafferty is one of the top scorers in that Armagh 15 when he plays. Like, he's played a number of years at wing forward or midfield in intercounty football. He's not a goalkeeper. It's so impressive what he did, but when Shane Ryan was that good, it's hard to look past him when he's brought Kerry to an All-Ireland final. I'm on it.
Okay. Was there a bit of doubt before? Am I misremembering whether or not who was the goalkeeper? We're not sure, and then
Peter Keane flip-flopped between Shane Murphy and Shane Ryan a lot. I found it difficult to tell who was better throughout because you weren't sure the traits of which, but Shane Ryan was number 1 all year long, essentially this year, especially after the league, and you always got the sense that Jack was sticking with Shane Ryan, and he proved them right in a lot of ways. Like, he delivered throughout. There was no big mistakes, and it's just hard. I just find it hard to look past that in a goalkeeper.
Okay, full back line.
Full back line. Chris McCaig is in it for me. I started questioning myself today because it's so long since we picked this team, but Chris McCaig, captain Derry to the Ulster title. He did so many unbelievable man-marking jobs throughout. Unfortunately, some of the images that stick out in my head for Chris McCaig is Rory Gallagher screaming at him after he took 2 shots in the Galway game that he shouldn't have taken. But McCaig just led by example throughout, and like Derry winning the Ulster title is massive. He captained them. Jason Foley's full back. Wasn't tested against Caen, but look at the job they did locking down Comer. That Kerry defensive unit, similar to Galway's, it was about the collective. But Foley was just exceptional all year long, and he's progressed so much from the player who broke onto the scene, was playing cornerback a couple of years ago.
It's funny, isn't it? Like when you're thinking about selecting a team at the end of the season that represents the best players of the year, you could easily just decide that you're going to pick the best 6 man markers because they're the ones who are doing the one-on-one defending, which is the art of defending. A lot of the defenders who get picked end up being highlighted by a system. Sometimes they're the +1, and so they get on a lot of ball and they look flashy, but they don't actually have a lot of blocking to do. They don't have a lot of man marking to do. They're never in that 1v1, as Kenny would say. And so we don't know how good a defender they are. But in this instance, I think you kind of do know that Jason Foley's an excellent defender, as well as somebody who is benefiting from the system.
Yeah, I totally agree, Ger. I think you're right that can happen a lot, or else you'll have the players who are bursting forward and getting the scores, and perhaps they have a slightly freer role, or they've less someone marking them, not marking them, you know.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, and I think up to this point, it's hard to argue with those 2 selections. Now, the third one is going to cause a bit of consternation. I don't think it should. I actually think Thomas Sullivan is the shoe-in for an All-Star. Talk about man-on-man markers. He always got the toughest job. He wasn't protected in a way that other parts of the Kerry defence was. Thomas Sullivan kicking points throughout.
So the argument against him is Shane Walsh, is it?
The argument against him is that people say semi-finals and finals count for double. Okay, and I completely understand that when it comes to the All-Stars. We're going to probably have a debate about the rock star that is Rian O'Neill a little later. I hope we do have a debate about it. But Thomas Sullivan throughout the championship was unbelievable, and in the All-Ireland final, you can say he didn't lay a paw on Shane Walsh, but it's actually what Shane Walsh did in that final is a lot more to do with Shane Walsh than it was to do with Thomas Sullivan. I think there's one stage when O'Sullivan gives him a bit too much space, and he's like, there's no way he's kicking that. There's another stage when Walsh is nowhere near him. Another stage where Walsh hands off a different Kerry defender and pops it over the bar. Walsh was just on fire. He was on it. Can't remember who he said it to that morning. It could have been the Galway Kitman or Kitwoman, and he said it to him that morning. I'm on it. He's going to be on. Shane Walsh, there was no stopping Shane Walsh in that All-Ireland final. Thomas Sullivan didn't get burned for a goal. Do you know? There's no great images of him getting absolutely destroyed. I think on the balance of the entire year, I'm giving Thomas Sullivan that shout, but I am open to
who's he ahead of?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of jiggery pokery going on in the half back line, so you could easily, if you wanted to keep it a bit more of a systemic team, you could put Liam Silke there. I'm probably giving it away now, but I like Liam Silke is in the top 6 defenders of the year, in my opinion. So Silke number 4 or 2 probably is more natural. I'm not sure who else you go for. I actually think Thomas Sullivan was essentially the best defender in the league this year.
In the league?
In the championship, sorry.
Okay.
In the entire year, I think he was the best footballer.
Okay.
Defender.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got Liam Silke in the half back line. You've already told us that.
I do. I've got Tyg Morley at 6 from Kerry. Again, you might talk about the system. I think you're right, but he was just so integral to how that Kerry system worked. And John Daly, again, a benefactor in ways of the system. He had that +1 role, but as a playmaker, some of his passes were the highlight of the year. And like where Daly has come from, recovering from a terrible broken leg to get to the form he was in today, at the minute was brilliant to see. So I kind of slept on John Daly, I'll be honest, a little bit, and then I realised around the All-Ireland semi-final, holy God, this guy is unbelievable. So I'm a big fan of John Daly. I find it hard to argue with that defence as a unit, but there are arguments to be made. Gavin White, for me personally, I find it very difficult to leave him off that team, and I thought Jarly O'Byrne from Armagh was brilliant as well.
I'm a big fan of Brendan Rodgers as well. Cult hero Brendan Rodgers. Now look, it's hard to argue against bringing in John Daly, because like Dad's a Galway man, and like didn't he set up nearly all of Comer's scores in that All-Ireland game?
Yeah, that's the thing.
He kicks like a forward, and he's only 21. So it's hard, like I would have Rodgers close, but I mean it's hard to leave John Daly out, I think, at wing back.
I think you're right. I think if that All-Ireland semi-final goes the other way and Rodgers gets the best of Damien Comer, there's very hard to leave Brendan Rodgers out of the All-Star team.
And Daly didn't get into the RTE Sunday game team of the year, I don't think. So like,
Did he not?
But like a lot of people were even saying, he was almost good enough to be nominated for Footballer of the Year. Like he was probably in the top 7 or 8. So yeah, leaving John Daly out, I think, is a non-runner.
Okay, I do think semi-finals count double, and I think James McCarthy put in one of the greatest performances an individual has ever put in for the greatest team of all time, and I think I would certainly find a way to grandfather him in. Everybody here knows I'm biased. Big fan of James McCarthy, but
I'm happy you're making that argument, Ger, because Paddy Andrews very passionately made it on the football pod as well. And
like it's an all-time great standout performance in the losing team. It's like it's the defensive equivalent of Shane Walsh in the final. Like it's almost as effective. Like lest we forget, Kerry were killing Dublin until a little bit of Evan Comerford jiggery pokery, and then James McCarthy had to back that up. So Comerford keeps them alive, but they're like clinging on by their fingernails, and then they push Kerry to the pin of their collar, and they require like the greatest free kick we've ever seen. But this Kerry team, who I think could easily win 3 in a row, would have been stopped in their tracks cold by James McCarthy's performance in that semi-final. And I think
by one man.
You need to be able to, well, not very many other people stood up to the level that they were capable of standing up to. In the second half, several players played well. But in the first half, Fenton was good in the first half. Sorry. But McCarthy was sensational.
Can I say something against that? So these are judged on league and championship, yes? So Dublin get relegated from the league.
Are they?
Hold on. Yeah, I think so. I think they should.
No, we don't know.
Dublin get relegated from the league. They win a Leinster championship at a canter, as they usually do. So then you're looking at a quarter-final win and a loss to Kerry. So I find it hard to put any dubs.
A loss, yeah, but scoreboard journalism here. Good. You can play the best game of your life in a defeat.
Well, yeah.
And for the All-Stars, it's not about whether or not the team won or lost.
Who are you putting McCarthy in for? I'm
putting Liam Silke in the full-back line.
Right.
And you do what you want there. I don't care.
Who are you taking out?
Well, it's either. I think it's one of the Kerry lads.
One of the Kerry lads.
Like
so
either Foley or Sullivan.
Or
it's Liam Silke. I don't care. Right? You. I don't mind. But I'm saying in my team,
Kerry.
I will. Maybe we can come back to this before we finish. But like I will say that the triple turnover, the kick out that he breaks, and the point that he kicks. Being in the stadium was like, and feeling the blue wave and the noise, where usually I'm, a broken Mead fan. I was a neutral that day. It was incredible to witness what James McCarthy did. Like, he got the entire place off their feet. He did only play 2 championship games.
Yes, correct.
I think
I still will go back to the point that Kieran Donaghy was Footballer of the Year when he played a game and a half. Like, he was the Footballer of the Year.
But they won the All-Ireland.
Yeah.
But they won the All-Ireland.
Yeah, but he turned the course of that. And like, anyway. Okay.
James didn't turn the course of anything. But look,
he turned the course of an absolute hammering into last kick of the game, sure, I think.
Sure.
But like,
who cares?
Who cares? Who cares? That's the way.
I played brilliantly.
Did you feel alive? Are you not entertained?
I felt more alive when Sean O'Shea kicked the winning score and Kerry go on to win the All-Ireland as a result.
You're up for Kerry, were you?
Well, no, I felt alive as a neutral watching that moment. I was like,
yeah, but you wouldn't have got that moment, is my point. It would have been a 12 to 15 point mullering.
But I think it would be harsh to take a Kerry lad out because of it.
Harsh, but your life is harsh. True. Midfield, Conor Glass and Killian McDade. I think Killian McDade might be one of those unopposed.
I had this wrapped up on June 25th. I tweeted, you can hand Conor Glass's All-Star this evening. That was about 8 minutes into the Derry Clare game. And the next day, I actually tweeted, you can hand Killian McDade as All-Star this evening. But that was a much easier argument because he had put in one of the most remarkable performances in the All-Ireland quarter-final against Armagh, where he single-handedly essentially kept them through in extra time with that goal, that unbelievable point. Like, McDade and Glass, 2 guys back from the AFL, not always the easiest transition, but did they set the tone this year? Physically, even emotionally, the way they played. McDade's quality on the ball, like I think it was the Leitrim game when we first realised that, okay, this guy can kick points. I think he kicked 3 points from the 45 that day, and he just delivered throughout. Awesome footballers, the 2 of them. Glass, after leading Glen to another Derry Championship at the weekend, So he's had a good year himself. So I just find it hard to argue with the two of them. The other shouts, Paul Conroy faded as the championship went on, had an unbelievable year up to that. Fenton, I think we do judge the Dubs at different standards, but he just didn't have the type of year that we're so used to seeing with Brian Fenton. Jack Barry was in the mix. I actually think Jeremy O'Connor was unlucky not to get nominated. But I just find it hard to argue with Garrett McKinless as well was nominated too. Find it hard to argue with McDade and Glass.
Okay, the half forward line.
Yeah, there's a couple of debates we can have here, right? But I'll give you the half forward line that we settled on the football pod. Paulie Clifford 10, Sean O'Shea 11, Kieran Kilkenny 12.
I can spot my omission there straight away.
Go for it. Who?
Kilkenny.
Well, shall I give our full forward line before?
Sorry, go on, Tommy. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about them as a 6 because there might be somebody who's
13, David Clifford.
Sorry, the second unopposed 13. Yeah.
15, Shane Walsh.
Third unopposed.
Yeah.
14, Damien Comer.
Okay.
Now go on, have at me.
Kilkenny out and Shane McGuigan in for me. McGuigan was unbelievable this year. And both of them lost semi-final. Like it's it's much for muchness. And Kilkenny was brilliant again. And maybe you do have to get the Dubs in there.
You don't.
One or two.
I don't think you do. Like my Dub, you know my Dub. I would tend to agree that if we're holding Brian Fenton to higher standards, you kind of have to hold Kilkenny to the same standard where he's been in the conversation for Footballer of the Year and didn't reach that level this year. Second half against Kerry, stood up. First half against Kerry, didn't have his best game, I would say.
He was head and shoulders above the rest of the Dubs throughout the year. The only one that consistently performed. Fenton had moments, McCarthy had that second half. Kieran Kilkenny throughout the year was the only Dub that kept his standards up there, in my opinion.
Rian O'Neill not in the team, and so therefore do you not stick Shane Walsh into the half forward line and away you go?
Because you have to have Comer and Walsh, don't you?
Do you have to have Comer, Shane? Like that's the big debate that we would have had. Like Shane McGuigan, I totally agree with you. He was actually in my personal team, top scorer in Ulster.
Oh, you're distancing yourself from the official football pod team there, throwing your football pod colleagues under the bus. I hope Paddy and James both realise that. It's okay to do it on the pod, but you can't do it in public.
Yeah, you're right. I made the argument for Shane McGuigan, guys, but like, how do you leave off Rian O'Neill? Like, when you say, are you not entertained? Rian O'Neill on that Armagh side delivered so much this year from day one. Like, from that beating they dished out to the Dubs and Croker, where we all stood up and went, what's going on here? And it led to their relegation. Armagh obviously fell short in one of the most epic games of Gaelic football I think we've ever seen, like on every level. And Rian O'Neill was essential through it.
If you do look at it on results and you can switch it around whatever way you want in terms of O'Neill and Shane McGuigan, like McGuigan won his province, O'Neill didn't, and then of course McGuigan gets to the All-Ireland semi-final, O'Neill doesn't, albeit O'Neill was brilliant in that defeat to go in the quarter-final, and that kick to bring it to extra time was just incredible. But if you do look at results, and results is maybe a harsh way of differentiating between players, but McGuigan has to get in there. O'Neill would be the most unlucky player not to get in there, probably.
It's the All-Star, Shane. It's not about results. It's about individual performances, isn't it?
Yeah. But then if individual performances lead to big wins, is that not something to take into account as well? I don't know. Like, I'm not going to argue too strongly against Rian O'Neill because I can't and don't want to.
Who are you leaning on, Ger? Like, I would have thought that people would have been chewing Damien Comer out of this team, to be honest.
Somebody who knows a little bit about playing football, but a bit more than I would say the three of us, even Tommy.
No way.
Is Cian Johnson, who's working with us at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Rian O'Neill over Comer all day, Tommy. Comer was locked down in the quarter-final and the final. Had a good game against Derry when Rogers marked him instead of McCaig.
Hey. I'm listening to Keane on that one.
Hey.
Like, I had Comer in my team because of what he did in that All-Ireland semi-final, and I think the Galway system let him down in the All-Ireland final. Like, it made no sense to me that Damien Comer didn't get any ball. Maybe he wasn't right.
If you take Comer out, you have 4 of your 15 then, Tommy, as Galway men. Is that enough for what they achieved this year? Maybe it is.
They didn't win the All-Ireland.
Yeah.
Like, I think it is in ways, Like, you look at the Tailteann Cup All-Star team, Cavan got 4, Westmeath got 6. We're looking at giving Kerry 7 here at the minute. I'll leave it up to you two. If you want to drop Kilkenny, or you want to drop Comer, or you want to drop who who's our third wing back, that's a bit in trouble. If you want to drop one of our defenders, I'm happy for you boys to make the chopping block, make the decisions here now.
If it was down to me alone, I'd be taking Kilkenny out and putting McGuigan in.
Rory Larmer says the same thing on Twitter as well.
I see Monaghan men think alike. It's not necessarily Ulster bias. Kilkenny's been brilliant, but as Ger said, I think we hold him to a certain standard, and he hasn't.
Are we going with Keane Johnson's pick here? Are we going with Rian instead of Damien Comer?
Instead of Comer. Look, I have a lot of Galway family watching this right now, so I'm not gonna argue against.
Yeah, we are. I'm going to stop him from being scared and saying, sometimes you just got to make these decisions.
Yeah, I don't want to be accused of too much Ulster bias by replacing Comer with O'Neill either. So that's my.
Well, I think Rian O'Neill had such an exceptional, entertaining year. Oh, we're dropping Damien Comer for Rian O'Neill. I don't know about this.
It'll inspire him over the winter.
Maybe.
He'll stick that picture up. What do you think? What do you think of that? OTB AM when they win next year.
Yes.
We're backing you, Tommy. That's what you wanted.
No, I'm leaving it up to you to make the decision. This is our team.
I'd be sticking Rian O'Neill in instead of Kilkenny, and I'd have Comer in ahead of Kilkenny.
Okay.
That would be mine.
Rian O'Neill 12. Yeah, I would.
I'd put Shane Walsh 12.
Shane McGuigan sitting crying into his cornflakes, lads.
If he doesn't have an unbelievable year.
He was class.
An unbelievable year. Yeah.
One of the standouts. Every single game he played, I watched him destroy Monaghan up close and personal in the athletic grounds one day. Every time he touched the ball, you just had a sense of dread in your stomach. And I don't get that about many players. Rian is another, but McGuigan, anytime he touches it.
I think Derry have 2 All-Star picks here already, and they'll do well to get 3. I'll be honest about that.
Yeah, and it's probably hard to argue against McCaig or Glass.
And sorry, do you think that the All-Star team is going to be the same as this? Football of the year?
I actually think it'll be very close to the football pod team, but I do think I'm with you. Let's put Rian O'Neill in at 12 or in and put Shane Walsh at 12.
Okay.
Keep Damien, because I do think that he had a big year.
He did have a big year. It was kind of when you have the semi-final that you get a lot of credit for that because those games do count double. And I do buy Keane's point though that if they had McCaig on him, we might be talking about an All-Ireland final where Chrissy McCaig versus David Clifford was one of the all-time great battles, but we'll have to wait to whatever the competition is called next year. What is the competition called next year? Is it a Super 12s?
Well, it's 16 really, isn't
it?
Super
16s? My Sweet 16s?
I don't know what they're calling it. Sweet 16s, if you want to go with that, okay.
Let's go with
it. Player of the year?
Yeah, we have 3 nominees here. Kenny McDade, Shane Walsh, David Clifford.
Come on. If Galway had won, right, you'd have to give it to McDade even though Shane Walsh wins the game for them.
Yeah.
Over the course of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you guys were all kept saying, "Oh, Shane Walsh, he's so. I can't wait to see what it's like when he finally bursts, when he finally breaks out." And then it didn't come in Connacht, and it didn't come in the quarterfinal, and it didn't come in the semi-final, and then all of a sudden in the biggest game, it's like the greatest breakout that we've ever seen, where somebody outruns and beats the hype. That's like and that's why it's such a great performance, and that's why he's so magnetic from now on. But Killian McDade was the heartbeat of that team that brought a team who were 5th or 6th favourites to within 10 minutes of winning the All-Ireland. Clifford's going to get it, right? But I can make the case that...
I think you can make the case. I do think that if Shane Walsh leads Galway to the All-Ireland title, and you talk about the appeal of a player, you talk about the marketability of a player, I actually think that's a factor here. I think that's why Andy Moore won Footballer of the Year and Paddy Andrews never won an All-Star.
Just because McDade doesn't wear white boots? Come on. I mean, he deserved it as well.
That was a bit of a joke. But I know, I do agree with you, Shane. I do agree that McDade was...
Is Paddy not handsome? Is he not handsome enough for you? Is that what the problem was?
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's the... Paddy's now coming out of his shell now. He maybe didn't come out of his shell.
He needed to do a few more interviews, basically, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. And I just think that maybe it's very hard to look past a player like that when it gets to Footballer of the Year territory.
All right.
So it's Clifford. What about your young player of the year? We got Lee Gannon, Ethan Doherty and Jack Lynn.
Ooh,
I watched Lee Gannon very closely this year. He's my shot.
Ethan Doherty for me. Does not look like a Gaelic footballer. He literally skinned.
Every single pick has been from us for sure.
See, he was brilliant in every game I watched, and I saw all of Derry's games, and I just find it hard. He just orchestrated things, and I know Rory Gallagher loves him, wants everything to go through him. Just does a job, and it's underrated in some ways because you have some of the bigger names around him, like Glass and McGuigan ahead of him as well, doing the business. Yeah. For me, it's Ethan Doherty. I don't know who'll get it. I don't know what the bookies say on that one, but I'd be picking Ethan Doherty.
Yeah, okay, I can go with that as well.
Okay.
Tommy, I don't know who you have to complain to get a ticket for it, but you should go. You should go and take the brickbats. You'd enjoy getting slagged off at the bar for 4 hours by a bunch of lads wrecking your head about why they should have been in your team.
Maybe another year.
Are you otherwise engaged?
Thanks for the shout out, Ger. If I get a late ticket, who knows? Maybe I can get it tucked at short notice. We'll see.
Tommy, good stuff. Thanks a million.
Thanks, guys. Good work. Bye bye.
That's the Tommy Rooney /football pod /OTB AM All Stars for the year.
Not bad. I don't know what changes we even made in the end, but I think we made a couple.
Who's your player of the year, lads? That is the question, says Kieran Doherty. It's going to end up being Clifford.
It is, yeah.
I like obviously he left again, like Shane Walsh. He left his best performance for the year for the All-Ireland final, so you can't really argue against that. And he is the best footballer in the country by an absolute mile. So you're kind of nitpicking here about early on there was a little bit of injury, and it looked like after the Sigerson he wasn't fully, but then he didn't need to be.
No.
They understand that you got to peak for the right moment.